Welcome back to the water cooler, everybody. Look, the COVID-19 relief bill, Congress came to an agreement. Congratulations. And then Donald Trump, the president of the United States, said, you know what? Not a big fan. I think we need more stimulus money in there in terms of the checks for individuals. And, oh, by the way, what in the world else is in this bill? Here's the president.
Congress started negotiations on a new package to get urgently needed help to the American people. It's taken forever. However, the bill they are now planning to send back to my desk is much different than anticipated. It really is a disgrace. For example, among the more than 5,000 pages in this bill, which nobody in Congress has read because of its length and complexity, it's called the COVID relief bill, but it has almost nothing to do with COVID. This bill contains $85.5 million for assistance to Cambodia, $134 million to Burma, $1.3 billion for Egypt and the Egyptian military, which will go out and buy almost exclusively Russian military equipment, $25 million for democracy and gender programs in Pakistan, $505 million to Belize, Costa Rica, El Salvador, Guatemala.
And he goes on and on. He doesn't like it. Burma. I love how he says Burma. Anyhow, let's bring in Rick Manning, the president of Americans for Limited Government, who probably has a few things to say about what's tucked inside this bill. Rick, good to see you, sir.
Thank you for having me, David.
Well, what do you make of what the president is saying? He's listing a whole bunch of stuff that is tucked away, not just inside the COVID relief bill, but the overall stimulus package. It's like $1.4 trillion or something along those lines.
Yeah, well, let's just, first of all, there are two bills that are merged. So we're talking about the same bill, but they actually have two different functions. There's the COVID relief package, and then there is the bill that makes it so the government doesn't shut down and is funded for the rest of the fiscal year through September 30th. So a lot of those things that he's talking about were actually in the section that wasn't dealing specifically with COVID, but instead we're dealing with just keeping the government running. Doesn't make them any less absurd. They are absurd, and they were in the same bill. So he's correct in what he says. But let me just bring up a couple of these because it's really crazy. You know, they're putting millions into the Kennedy Center again. And what people remember that back in one of the original COVID relief bills, the Kennedy Center got a whole bunch of money again then. And so apparently the Kennedy Center needs to be propped up for elites here in D.C., but small businesses are being destroyed by governor policies that shut down the country. Well, not so much for them. So we've got a lot of things like that where you take a look and you say, what the heck are they thinking about? And it's really hard to reconcile the pork that's been placed into this bill with any kind of real responsible governance.
So, Rick, here's what I don't understand, and maybe millions of Americans are thinking the same thing. Why don't they just do two separate bills? I mean, I get the fact that you've got to get the stimulus bill, or I say the stimulus bill, the government funding bill done, but why not do an extension that they're doing and do that separate? And there's pork in all of these bills every single year, but the COVID-19 stuff, why can't that just be done separate? It seems like it doesn't make any sense to me.
I strongly suspect the reason that it wasn't done separate is because Pelosi wouldn't agree to what the Senate wanted to do with it, and so she combined it in the House, and so basically one side or the other had to combine it, and it was in order to get it passed. And that's the way they do a lot of things in Washington, D.C. You get a lot of disparate ideas all shoved into the same bill because you're basically catering to different constituencies. Mm-hmm. And in the Senate, they have a unique problem in that they have to get 8 Democrats to pass anything. And it's very likely that in order to get the 8 Democrats, they had to put things like money for the Kennedy Center and the like, because that's a constituency that the Democrats play to. And, you know, David, I can't emphasize enough the fact that this Congress is willing to pass legislation that benefits the elites by giving money to the Kennedy Center, which only benefits the elites. And then on the other hand, they really ignore what's going on in the country and the real need for businesses and for people who are losing their jobs and will lose their jobs as the economy begins to turn downward, as California, New York, and Illinois go to draconian shutdowns.
Rick, what's the position with you guys over there regarding these stimulus checks? I mean, it was $600. The president wants more, $2,000. That doesn't seem to comport with limited government, but at the same time, people need relief. So how do you kind of balance the two? That can be difficult, yeah?
Yeah, it is. I will tell you, the compelling thing about the COVID package for me is the program that we know works. It saves jobs by helping small businesses stay alive during as governments are shutting them down. That's that's the part of it that I like. I'm not a big fan of just sending people money because, ultimately they're taking your money and then they're going to send you back a small part of it. That just seems stupid to me. If you wanted to do something that was real, then end the payroll tax for a certain period of time and allow people to keep their money that they normally would send into the government rather than have the government collect it and then send it back.
There's a lot of people on social media and other places in Trump Nation saying, Mr. President, do not sign this bill. He doesn't want to sign it, but they're telling him not to sign it. What's your sense of what McConnell and those folks will do now in the Senate? And what about the House? Where do you think this is going ultimately?
Well, that's a great question. The fact is the president doesn't even have the bill yet to review it. It'll take probably till the 27th for him to have the bill. And what a lot of people don't realize is that any bill that is not signed or vetoed and then overridden by January 2 is dead. And so the president has a lot of cards on this table that he's got a lot of aces in terms of being able to say, I'm not signing this bill unless you change this, and this, and effectively have a line item veto, because he could just sit on it, never have to veto it, and the bill's dead on January 3.
Yeah, you think that's where this could be headed, though? I mean, I guess we'll see. We don't know.
I think this president is an expert at using leverage to get what he wants, and I strongly suspect he'll use every bit of leverage he has to force Congress to make changes that he thinks are appropriate.
Yeah, he wrote a book called The Art of the Deal. I remember it. Or as he pointed out to everybody, it's the bestseller ever, except for the Bible, he says, by the way. All right, Rick Manning, thank you so much. I appreciate it. Hey, Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays.
Merry Christmas, David, and have a great holiday, and try to loosen up, okay?
Okay. Oh, speaking of, what a great transition. Speaking of loosening up, I think I'll do that. Maybe not just mentally, but physically as well. Madison, our producer, is going to join me in a moment on the extravagant set here at the water cooler, where we're going to have some holiday exercises to get kind of limbered up. See, what am I doing? Back in a moment.